Hello and welcome back to Everything is Fanfiction, where we talk about everything fandom and fanfiction alike. I'm your host, Noel.
And I'm your co-host, Miranda.
And we are closing out spooky season with a theme that I have loved since I was a little brat. We are discussing the film franchise Scream, which started in 1996 and is currently on their 7th film. I want to mention that I only watched one episode of that show that happened in 2015. I didn't give it another chance after the first episode. I was disrespected.
Seasons 1 through 2.
Stronger than I.
Personally, not worth it.
Stronger than I, but we already knew that because I tap out pretty fast. As we learned in the Harry Potter episode.
I am tough.
Yeah.
And I prevail.
You stay in the ring.
It won in season 3. I refused.
And did you want to give a happy birthday shout out?
Oh yes, I would like to give a shout out to my beautiful perfect angel baby, Marley. She is turning 12 on October 21st, which by the time you're hearing this is already past, but
yep.
Feel free to leave some birthday love down in the comments.
Yeah.
She's my perfect first child who I love more than anything on this planet. And yes, she's amazing. I love her so much. And it's her birthday, and she is 12 now.
I just realized I'm a bad dog mom, because... yeah, I didn't mention Brady's birthday in either of the August episodes.
Boo. Drop a boo down in the comments for Noel. Boo.
I did mention that her birthday was in August. I just didn't say happy birthday on August.
Boo.
Boo.
Oh, Marley, you have a better dog, Mom. She's always thinking of you.
Well, let's get started, shall we? One of the things I want to start with is I was devastated when I found out that they made another movie. Because I was in my high school, Delululand, I was believing that they would somehow hire me if they ever decided to do either a remake of these movies or a continuation of the franchise. Even though I wasn't, auditioning professionally or making short films or posting on YouTube.
I even existed. I was just sitting there.
It's sitting there.
And I expected them to one day just knock on my door and be like, Noel,
we need you.
You son of a bitch. Let's get to work.
Let's get to work. We have a script. We need you part of it. I was Delulu for a long time. Listen. Depression is not a joke, even though it is.
Oh my God. Side note to our viewers, mental health is very serious. Please take it very seriously. See therapy. See a therapist. See a psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
We always promote mental health.
But yeah, I was daydreaming and being like, yeah, they're just going to figure out that I'm talented and that they need my talent. I don't know how, but they are. No, I'm kidding.
They're just going to feel it in their bones.
Then when I actually watched the movie, when I saw the movie, I found out about it the week that it was released in theaters, and I was able to go to the...
Fake Scream fan!
No.
Fake Scream fan!
No, I just wasn't online chronically, and when I was only in like the Wanda realm. I wasn't really paying... I don't like watching commercials, so...
I'm chronically online for the world.
For the world. Yeah, no, I
am the Thanos of fanfiction.
I need to be focused on like one thing at a time because I put my whole self into it. So, but yeah, then I saw...
ADHD?
ADHD. ADHD.
That's me.
So, but I found out about it in time to get tickets for the like live Q&A thing at the movie theaters, where they live streamed. Yeah, so what they did was they live streamed a Q&A after the movie premiered to select theaters, and my theater was one of the select theaters.
I'm hearing is you got to listen to The very beautiful Melissa Barrera speak live in time.
No, it was actually only Dewey that was there, and that was kind of an
David Arquette.
experience. Yeah. And then shortly after I got COVID.
Nope.
Hmm. Yeah. And I was so mad
I will
because I
say
was like,
something
hmm?
controversial though. I think Scream 6 is probably easily in the top three of all the Scream movies.
Yeah, I
Scream
liked.
5, I will give you the complaints. I will acknowledge the complaints. It was not the best. It's been done. It felt a little
Hmm.
like, okay, we've seen this. And as
Yeah,
much of a Sam Carpenter fan as I am, she wasn't like as likable. But Scream 6, they really got their rhythm down.
yeah,
That's probably my like second favorite Scream of all time.
yeah. Scream 5 had me laughing because of the because of Sam being Billy's like surprise child.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've
It
read
just
that
kind of came
fic.
out of left field.
I've read that plot in so many fics. I've even written a couple because who doesn't want to be born in the Stark family? But yeah, no, it number 5 had its problems. Um, I definitely wasn't enthusiastic about them returning because of the what happened in 5, but Scream 6 was definitely a much more solid movie, I agree, than 5
I also
was.
have no, 6 was fresh and it felt new.
Hmm.
I was saying though, that when I was watching it for the first time, I did predict one of the killers like right out the gate because I remember thinking, okay,
He looks like
they
Stu.
killed no, no, no,
Mm.
not even that. He's so in Scream 5, they killed one of the most lovable characters, like one of the originals,
Hmm.
Dewey, who was a cop. We trusted him. We're conditioned
Hmm.
as a franchise to trust the cops are working in these situations because
Hmm.
how could they be evil? So
Yeah.
I was looking at it. I was like, it's him. I was like, because again, like I said, we're conditioned to think Dewey, cop, okay, they're gonna help. And then I was like, okay, well, now they're flipping the script because they're doing something new. Dewey's dead. It's gonna be this guy.
Hmm.
And I was right. And I was right. I was one third right
I was
because it
eyeing
was
the
really good.
boyfriends right away, like with the with it opening with Jenna Ortega almost dying. She didn't die. I like that. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. The first person that we
Wait,
see
are you talking
isn't the
about
first
Scream
person
5?
to die. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was talking about Scream 6.
Wait, what? Oh, you're talking about Scream
Yeah, that was
6, the killer.
yeah.
Oh, the cop. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yes.
For some reason, I thought you were talking about Scream 5. It must have cut out before I heard it.
Yeah, no. Dewey died in Scream 5, which
Yes.
led to my theory that Scream 6 they would
Oh, because we were supposed to
create
trust
the
the cop.
anti-version. Yeah, so they
I
created
see.
the anti-version of Dewey.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
But they still brought back the
Core 4.
the familial connection because in Scream 2, the killer is Billy's mom,
Yeah, yeah.
and I like that.
Billy's mom, and it wasn't just Billy's mom, it was Mickey, but I
No,
forget what Mickey's
he
motive was.
he was just on a chat room. He was just kind of he wanted to he also was obsessed with movies, and he found her through a chat room, and he was like, I want to do a crazy thing where it's about the court case. It's about the whole he was planning on turning himself in so that his whole
Oh yeah, so he could become famous.
famous, yeah.
And then Sydney says the famous lines like something like now you get to die in and then, oh I can never say this word anonymity.
Oh.
Anonymity.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, she has so many good lines. My favorite one is in Scream 4 when she said you forgot the first rule of remakes, Jill. Don't F with the original.
So with the originals.
Why do
Oh,
you
I
always
said
do
the
that to me?
giving you more work. You no, you can't get the full feeling unless you say it right. You have to say, nope, what's the
Oh my god.
original? No, Scream 4 was really good too, though. I will say I did not see the plot twist of the main heroine
I
turning into the villain.
just appreciate how entertained I am by these movies more than it just. I mean, they're so detail oriented, but a lot of times people are like criticizing them for really no real reason. I'm like, if it's funny, it's entertaining, and it's a little scary if you're scared by those sort of things. Because I never really was, except when I was little. Because one of my earliest memories is asking my brother to turn up the television while we were watching Sydney struggle to get. She was like in Dewey's cop car, and and I just remember seeing her struggle with the car, and we watched a lot of horror movies when I was growing up, but that's one of my earliest
Yeah.
memories, and I was just like, it's such a good movie.
I
Like,
think the problem with Scream that people forget though is that Scream doesn't take itself seriously, like
yeah,
intentionally. Like the whole point of the Scream franchise was to make fun
of the
of
horror
other
movie
horror movies.
franchise. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like people like look at it and expect it to be like this like horror movie in the sense
Mm-hmm.
that we're like conditioned to look at horror movies when Scream is looking at it through a whole other lens.
Yeah.
And so to appreciate it, you have to understand that this isn't
It's not
like The
serious.
Conjuring or like The
Mm-hmm.
Babadook or
Yeah.
Sinister.
Or
It's a whole
yeah.
new realm
Yeah.
because they're kind of mocking
It's
everything else.
it's in a sense a
They're mocking
parody,
slashers more
but
than
it's not
anything. Yeah.
so much of a parody.
Yeah, it's not a parody in which like they're like scary
Yeah,
movie.
the scare
It
movie, which was actually the original title for Scream. Fun fact.
yeah,
But sorry, continue.
ironically that's its own franchise now too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's but people have to like look at it in that lens too and like
Mm-hmm.
understand that they're and the things that they do, I feel like for the most part are pretty intentional.
Yeah. They're not they're not trying to get an Oscar here. They're trying to make an entertaining film and commentary on the horror movies and the genre of itself while, you know, like some of the lines are just oh my god, my favorite one is always Stu just crying in the corner and he's all like she asks him what his motive is and he's like peer pressure, I'm far too sensitive.
Oh no, see, my favorite ones where he's sobbing. He's like, my parents are gonna
Make
be
me so
so mad
mad
at
at me.
after
And
he realizes that, okay, hold on, mate, wait, we might not win this
yeah,
one.
yeah, he's like, "Did you really call the cops?" You bet your ass I did. My parents are gonna be so mad at me. And
I
then
don't think they will see because you are
about to die. Um,
dead, quotation marks.
and then he gets on the phone. He's like, "Man, you hit me with the phone, dick." Oh no, it's just so funny if you can really sit down and
It was really
appreciate
weird.
the comedy of the films. Um,
Yeah.
even just like
Or
little,
like Randy, which they remade in Scream 5, but Randy sitting there screaming at Jamie Lee Curtis
yeah,
on the TV,
yeah, turn
turn around, when the
around.
whole time all he had to do
It
was
was
turn
turn
around
around.
because Stu or Billy were right behind him. So,
And what was it? Just even with the like when they're watching the movie, and he's like, "Oh, the obligatory tit shot," and then it doesn't show it from the movie that they're watching. It shows Sydney undressing, but she still has a bra on. Just
yeah,
like those
Scream's
little
PG-13.
things.
Oh, no, it's not. It used to be PG-13, but they started dropping the F-bombs.
Yeah. I also remember that they wanted they with they wanted an R rating. And part of that was they asked them if they could change anything from the opening scene with Drew Barrymore. And Wes Craven said, "Oh, we lost any other footage that we have, so this is all we have." And he lied. They had more footage to work from and edit and change it, but he wanted the R rating. He didn't want it to be this,
Yeah.
low rated.
Like they're not like one of the things in horror movies too is like there's usually like especially in like the early like 90s or the
Mm-hmm.
90s era is there's like a sex scene for feels like for no reason
Mm-hmm.
and Scream didn't do that.
Yeah, there was a sex scene, but it wasn't like graphic. And
It
then
wasn't
they
well and you
also,
don't see it.
yeah, you don't see anything.
It's Sydney and Billy, but you don't see
That's
anything.
what I meant. It wasn't
Like
graphic.
implied, yeah. It's
Yeah,
implied that they had sex, not
and then
outright like you see
yeah,
the act happen.
you're
Hmm.
questioning whether or not you're watching a movie or porn. Um, and but she does also make a mention of porn. He's like, he said something about a rating, and then she said, or maybe even a good porno.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're so obsessed with movies in this movie, and that's another thing I like is that they're aware of movies. Where some stuff they pretend that movies and shows don't exist.
Which is funny too, because Wes Craven is famously known for Nightmare on Elm Street, which is
Hmm.
not a parody.
Hmm.
It very much does take itself seriously.
And then that's another
But
funny
much
joke.
like,
They have a little nod to Freddy Krueger as the janitor.
oh yeah,
He's all,
Wes Craven, rest in peace.
yeah, R.I.P. King.
No one does classic 90s horror like you. Anyway, Taylor Swift.
Anyway, Taylor Swift. But yeah, no, when they brought up the whole Sam being Billy's child, and I was just like, that's giving Wattpad. I was sitting in the
Yeah, just
theater
because he was so young at
laughing my
that
head off.
point, and he was very much focused on like getting his revenge on Sydney for ruining his family.
Yeah, it just didn't make
Mm.
sense.
Yeah. It just I don't see the window where it was
Yeah,
very logical.
because of the time too, because of how much time he was spent focused on this, um, of his
He was
plot.
probably planning for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, like he wasn't gonna distract himself by having an affair on top of that because he already was living a double life.
Yeah, he was. So he was kind of he's living a triple life.
He was living a triple life. Like he had that much time on his hands. I get that he was a
Yeah.
teenager, but Jesus, I mean, I didn't have that much time on my hands. I was struggling with getting homework assignments done. You're gonna tell me he was getting
Yeah, but
homework?
you're not a but were you a homicidal maniac?
That's true. I was not.
So maybe I don't know, maybe the homicidal aspect of everything
Well,
changed how time went.
he was hanging out with Stu all the time, so he was already having his affair. And you're gonna tell me he had another one on the side? Like Jesus, like this man's libido is what really was the danger here, because he was trying to
Well, he
pressure.
birthed a child.
Yeah,
He sired a child
yeah.
at like 17, 18.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, apparently the mother was in a like committed like long-term
Mm-hmm.
relationship too. So not only did he have to be sneaky, but she had to be sneaky. So it just seems like a lot of work.
It does. I mean, even just organizing the podcast is a lot of work for me. I can't imagine being in school,
Living
plotting a whole elaborate murder scheme, dating someone,
with your
and
best
then
friend.
having two affairs on the side. Which, I mean, if like, because of all the time he's spending with Stu plotting, so I guess that accounts for that affair. But for having another one, who has the time?
Supposedly.
Supposedly. Supposedly. Yes, I know.
Totally.
I'm really pushing the Stu and Billy thing, but that's just because I was laughing so hard when they brought it up at one of their fan events, and they're like, "Yeah, he just loved his boy."
Someone brought it up.
Matthew Lillard. Oh, somebody.
Matthew Lillard brought it up. Like,
Yeah,
he was the one that brought it up.
so a fan asked about it because there's been a bunch of fan theory about it. So then Matthew Lillard confirmed it. That
Hmm.
like not that they were doing anything, but that Stu was definitely in love with Billy.
Wow, good for Matthew Lillard.
Yeah, he said he was bi, and I was
What
like,
about Skeet
hell
Ulrich?
yeah. He said that Stu was bi. I was like, hell yeah, by
What about
exposure.
what about Skeet Ulrich?
Can't remember what Skeet Ulrich's response was. It's been so long since I
Well,
seen the video,
I'm
but I just
assuming he was
remembered
sitting there with Matthew Lillard.
he was. He was on the stage.
Then I imagine it's a similar sentiment.
Yeah.
Wow, canon to the actors at least.
To the actors at least.
Who knows about the writers?
That'd be funny if they threw that in for Scream 7. Like,
I'm still a little bitter about Scream 7.
yeah. I'm excited that they're
I don't
bringing
know.
back Sydney, but that's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
I will say I've been like very like I've been a huge like Scream fan
Mm-hmm.
since I was a little kid,
Mm-hmm.
but I was never really like in the fandom aspect of it,
Mm-hmm.
just because I don't think
Neither
I
was I.
didn't view it as the type of franchise that I expected to have a fandom, which
Mm-hmm.
doing my research, I've been very wrong about. It has a huge fandom.
Yeah.
Um, like it has a bunch of like people on TikTok that like go in deep depth about it.
Mm-hmm.
People write stories about it,
Mm-hmm.
people make art about it.
Yeah.
I never thought of it like that, but I can see why it does now because it's just such a it's a huge franchise.
Yeah.
And
What?
it's like they say in the movies, like
That's what I was
they
gonna
kind of
say.
reference it with Cab, is it's like it's some of people's like favorite memory. It's like
Yeah.
some people's favorite movie. It's people have just like real attachments to it, and I do too.
Me too.
And I've always loved it, but I just never have delved further into it. And I did fall down a rabbit hole, and I did get sucked in a little bit, but I'm a little late because the momentum has died down
Yeah.
since the last one came out a couple years ago.
Yeah, and I was gonna say too, like I didn't realize the virality of it as well, of the fandom, because it just was, yeah, it just seemed one of those dormant franchises that just has movies that comes out and people just go watch them. They don't need to
Yeah.
express more about it, but yeah, they do, and that's where like I realized about its popularity through Scream 5 and the whole thing about the stab. I mean they mention it kind of like, mostly in Scream 4 as well when they're talking about all the stab movies that came after a while, and they have like the screening event with the high school kids every year. But that also just seemed so small. It seemed like that was just like because it was what made that small community so famous. So it seemed like
Yeah,
it was just something to pass on generation to generation. But but yeah, I agree. Like I didn't think that there was more to it until Scream 5 when they're kind of parroting what people do with say like the Marvel franchise or the DC franchise. But it's a real thing that people do for the Scream franchise. So it wasn't
see, and
so
I
much.
want to emphasize too. I think that the me thinking of it that I didn't need like I didn't view it as like it need. The problem with like Marvel and like Pretty Little Liars and Harry Potter is the way I view fan fiction most of the time is that there's usually gripes with the story or with
Mm-hmm.
the way that it's written,
Oh yes, yes, yes. I
and
see
like
what you mean.
someone wants to go in and fix it and maybe like make it romantic, make it
Mm-hmm.
like fit what they thought would have been more ideal,
Mm-hmm.
would have been like more interesting. the Scream franchise, I guess, and so it's not an insult to it. I actually view it as like a compliment in my head,
Yeah.
where I always thought that they like hit it right on the head. Like there
Yeah.
was no changes I would have made.
Yeah, I have to agree because I was thinking about it. I was like, even if I wanted to read fan fiction about it, what would I read about? Because it's not like I have a ship that I'm particularly dissatisfied with. Like, I mean, I don't have a ship with him. Like, it's not about the romantic relationships. It's about, you know, trying to survive a situation
Yeah,
where people are trying to kill you and people within your life. And that's another thing that I like about it. It's that it's not about strangers coming after them.
usually
Well,
only
coming
no.
after Sydney in the first four. It's not about these random people that you have no idea who that are just randomly targeting you and just randomly have this connection to you. It's about people within her life. It's about um, people she knows, which is typically what happens in those situations, which is really sad. That's not how it should be, how murders occur. But it also, you know, it doesn't make me as afraid of strangers as a lot of other things do. Um, but it does make me wary of people around me.
Like Jason, anyone who went to like summer camp,
Mm-hmm.
Camp Crystal Lake.
Yes, yes. Jason Voorhees. Yeah, like
Yeah,
it's just
Michael
like a
Myers wasn't
random.
as random.
Mm-hmm. This is random monster where it's like a ghost story that you tell around the campfire, and you don't think it's gonna happen to you, but then you run off and have sex, and bam, 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 you die. Which that's effed up.
Well, that's I feel, yeah. That's I feel like that's where the rules like came from. It's like Halloween, Friday the 13th, and
Yeah,
Nightmare on Elm Street. Those are the three.
yeah, and those are the three that they mentioned the most in the Scream movie. I
Well,
think,
especially in the 90s.
yeah,
That was like those were the main like franchises.
because
And then
this
Scream
came from the
became a
70s,
franchise.
I believe.
Then we have the Conjuring
Mm-hmm.
franchise now.
Yeah, now we have different
Um,
rules, and I like that they include that moving forward, that they continue with the growth of the franchise, and it's not just sticking to what was once the rules. It's no longer that anymore. And, but yeah, the whole Jason Voorhees drowned because there was people that were supposed to be watching him, and he died because they ran off to have sex. That one messes me up. I'm like, why?
I know.
Why?
Never sending my kid to camp.
Never go.
Never
Yeah.
sending.
And he
I
already.
would never send my kid. I was a teenager. I would never send my kid anywhere that teenagers are in charge of. I would not trust them. I'd be like,
No.
what qualifies you to watch my child?
Yeah.
Also,
No.
any babysitter in any horror movie always ends up being the one that dies after they sneak in their boyfriend to have sex because that also happens all the time.
Yeah, I was laughing when they brought that back in the most recent Halloween movie. Or no, there's a second one I didn't watch yet, but when they brought back the Halloween movies as well, and the girl
I don't talk
had a
about the last one.
babysitter.
The last
The
one was
babysitter
perfect.
had her boyfriend come over.
Yeah, they did. It was the one before the last one.
Yeah.
I don't talk about that one. That one was awful. It was not about Michael Myers, and I leave a comment down below if you want to hear my thoughts about that one because I have a lot to say about the Halloween franchise. Which that's my favorite franchise, which is why I have a lot of complaints about the last one.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to hear us do an episode
On
about
Halloween,
Halloween,
because I know I didn't get to finish all of the Halloween franchise, but I know that it gets confusing with them bringing it back because there's a lot of plot holes. Um,
well, no, so with the Halloween franchise, really quick, just I won't make this long. It's it reboots itself within
yeah,
like it's several times it's been rebooted several times within like its own
yeah,
universe. So all the Halloweens are not part of the same universe like the Scream is. Scream is
hmm,
continuous.
yeah,
It's the same universe continuously in the same like moving
hmm,
chronologically in time order.
hmm.
Halloween
Other
is not
than
continuous.
their little show that they try to pull
Yeah,
on us.
they have some that are continuous, like four and five are their own story.
Hmm.
Um, two and three, I believe, are their own story. But There's like no, I'm sorry. Two is has nothing to do with anything. Two is not Michael Myers at all.
Mm,
I think one and three
mm-hmm.
are back to back, and four and five,
And then
and then
wasn't
so on and so forth.
there
But
a random Jason versus Michael Myers? Or was that
no,
something
there's
else?
Jason versus Freddy.
Jason versus Freddy, that's right.
Yeah, Freddy. Sorry, it's Freddy versus Jason, not Jason versus Freddy.
Yeah.
But yes, that was the first horror movie I ever saw.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my cousins put it on.
Oh, nice.
That one has a lot of nostalgic value
Yeah,
to me.
seen. I remember my cousins putting that on at one point, but I don't remember most of it. And that it wasn't the first one I'd seen. It was Scream and Halloween were the first two horror movies I remember being introduced to because I remember specifically when Jamie Lee Curtis is hiding in the closet.
Laurie Strode. Laurie Strode.
Yeah, yeah, I just
Yeah,
remember
my
her hiding
first
in the
one was
closet.
mine was Freddy versus Jason, and then I would watch the VHS of Halloween H2O with my cousin.
I just find it funny that's called H2O.
Yeah. I honestly think that's one of the better ones. I really like H2O.
I'm sure it's good. I haven't seen it yet, but it's just funny that it's called H2O because of the mermaid show.
Oh my God, it's not about
I know it's
mermaids.
not about mermaids, but it reminds me of the mermaid show and then like
Yeah,
water.
it's Michael Myers like going out and killing a bunch of mermaids.
Hmm.
That's all it is. I will say I think you would like Halloween Resurrection. It's like where it's a kind of like a reality show. So they go into Michael Myers' house, like which they assume is abandoned,
Hmm.
and then they're slowly getting picked off one by one by Michael Myers. Anyway, Scream.
Anyways, Scream. uh, we're gonna have an anyway T-shirt. Anyway, dot dot dot.
Anyway,
Anyway, yeah. The one last controversial thing, or no, let's get into the Scream musical parody, and then we'll talk about the Stu Still Alive, and then I'll talk about my whole Gale thing. But I've only seen a few YouTube clips of the Scream musical therapy or not therapy
parody.
parody. It is therapy. It would be therapy. Uh,
Different type of parody.
what do you know about it? Because I don't know much about it. I just seen a few clips here and there, and it's pretty funny. I love that they did that. I love that somebody sat down and was like, "This is a musical," and that's pretty much what happens with a lot of musicals. That's how Hairspray became a musical.
Parodies too, and just in general.
Yeah.
I've also only seen a couple clips. It's only in Las Vegas, so I
Mm,
have not got to go see it. I will say I think it's funny how like openly gay they make Stu and Billy.
yeah.
But I have seen the parody for Saw, and I thought that was pretty funny. A lot of people complained about it, but I thought it was pretty funny. So in that same vein, I feel like Scream, the parody would also be really good, especially since I'm more of a fan of Scream as a franchise in general.
I kind of don't
I
like
respect them.
when people are too critical about parodies. I'm like, it's a parody. It's not meant to be
The
taken
point is it's
seriously.
supposed to be funny.
It's supposed to be
Yeah.
funny. If you didn't enjoy it, then I'm sorry, but we
It's
don't.
just not your type of humor.
Yeah, it's supposed. I mean, with so many things that are coming at our brains with the social climate and political stuff, and it's just like we need something just to like a brain rot for a moment. Just sit down and just rot. It's
Aside from
okay.
TikTok.
Aside from TikTok, yeah. But I mean, they're trying to take
That's
that
what I
away.
use. Over my dead body. They can pry it from my cold, dead hands. I'll be the new Ghostface.
The new Ghostface. Yikes.
Anyway,
Anyway, so yeah, and then Stu still being alive. I don't know how much I like hold into that one because I feel like knowing that how much detail they go into things, like in the first movie, we don't see much of Cotton Weary. We hear a lot about him, and then we see images of him being arrested and stuff, I feel like they would have mentioned that Stu was arrested if he was still alive.
No, but well, I guess, yeah, because I was like, if they didn't find his body, then could he be arrested? But I guess they would also mention, like, hey, Stu's body's missing.
Yeah, they would have said like, oh, when Stu with Stu missing, I
Yeah,
still
that
don't feel
maybe.
safe. They would have made a mention to
Yeah.
it. So again, I will feel like it's
Yeah.
very what Patty if he shows up in any of the future ones because it just doesn't connect for me.
Well, the big push for Scream 7 is that they make Stu the killer
Yeah.
because it's no longer about Sam and Tara.
Mhm.
It's going to be Sydney again,
Mhm. Which I'm interested in
which
what they're gonna do
I
there.
will bite my tongue about that.
No
Just
politics.
know you will not catch me in the theater for Scream 7.
Yeah, for me, with the Scream movies, I don't really. I mean, I watched the Scream 5 in the theaters, but I don't really have the desire to watch them in the theaters because of my experience with the original four. I watch those at home by myself. I enjoy that opposed to going to the theater, spending $100 and
Nah, dude, I'm there for every opening day weekend for Scream. I love Scream. I will be there every opening weekend. Except Scream 7.
except yeah, you're like I'm going for every single one. Psych, I take that
Except
back.
Scream 7.
7, you can go up yourself. But
I used to go for every single opening weekend.
well, I wasn't alive
When it was
for the
age
first four.
appropriate. Yeah, I was not alive for
No,
the first.
I think I was alive by the third one, and I was alive for the fourth one. I
Let
wasn't
me
alive
see.
for the
I
first
know
two.
I wasn't alive
The first one's
for.
1996. Second one is 98, I believe, and third one is 2000. And then,
I was
can you
a
fact check that?
newborn. I was a newborn for Scream 2. Yes, December 12th, 1997.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was alive for 3 and definitely 4 because I was 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And 5 and 6, of course, because those were more recent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was a newborn baby, though, for Scream 2. Therefore, I was not seeing that in theaters. Catch me fresh outside the womb in
Other
theaters.
other kids were born with iPads and iPhones. You were born with a knife
I will born for
and
scream
a
tickets
Scream
in my
ticket.
hand. I was born wearing a ghost face mask.
Oh, did you ever dress as Ghostface for Halloween? I did.
I did. I did not.
Yeah, I have
I
multiple Ghostface costumes.
no, I did. Side eye.
I'm not the one who's gonna be killed. No, I'm not the one who's gonna be killing soon. I'm the one who's gonna be killed soon.
That's only if they take TikTok away. I'm just kidding. Please don't show up at my house.
We
I don't even like killing
my
like insects.
my Scream costumes are in Virginia,
Or so you want us to think.
so if I were to go pick them up, I have a
Or
second
so
set for
you
you if you need.
or so you want us to think. Playing innocent a little too hard, aren't
No,
you?
all my costumes are stuck in Virginia with my mom because I couldn't move everything. Like I have my Katniss costume there, I have my Ghostbusters costume there. I think the only thing I brought back with me was my Batman onesie.
Oh my God.
I had a lot of onesies. Yeah, I was a weirdo in high school, and yet somehow still had friends, which I don't understand that. But I with those friends came a lot of trauma. So
Don't we all have some from our high school friends in high school?
yeah, it is what it is. You just gotta forgive and move on with the people
Who
that
said
aren't
forgive?
with the people that stick around.
See,
Cause
I'm the opposite. Don't forgive. Hold grudges.
Well, there's like certain
Hold all the
friends
grudges.
that stuck by me with certain problems that arise at the end of high school. So it's like we did things to each other. It's fine. We've forgiven each other. We're still friends now. There's other people that I haven't forgiven, and or no, I've forgiven, but only in like the sense that like you're never gonna come back in my life. But I'm not gonna think about it too much. Um,
Hold all the grudges. Bring up
hold
something that
grudges.
happened 5 years ago and pick a fight.
Just randomly DM. Uh,
I remember what you did 5 years ago, and I'm still not over.
that's so funny. Because one of my friends, or not one of my friends, one of the people that hurt me really badly hit me up around the time that I was being dumped by Voldemort, and I was just like, "This is not the time." I'm like,
I'm
what did I
really going
do?
through it
Why is the universe doing this to me? But
because you were planning to be Ghostface.
because I was planning to be Ghostface, I guess I was plotting.
Really. No
Well,
murder for you.
no murder for me. Just actually, I feel like that would drive me more because one of the things that this movie points out was his mom abandoned him, so he became a killer. And then
Well, he became a killer for
for
revenge,
revenge,
which I don't really understand why he blames Sydney because her mom was the one that slept with the dad.
and he already killed her. You
And
know?
also, like, wasn't that your revenge? Like, to kill the mom? That's
Yeah. And then his whole
like,
plan
why were you
also
not satisfied?
was was also to frame her dad for all the killings. And I'm like, you already had
But the dad
somebody,
was
you
a
already
victim
killed
in that
someone,
too.
you already framed him, you already framed a guy. Why do you need more?
But also, the dad was a victim in this too.
Yeah.
His wife cheated on him.
His wife cheated on him, and then he got kidnapped, and then he was about to be framed. Like, none of it makes
And his
sense.
daughter was about to be murdered.
Yeah, and then he was
Yeah,
gonna. You were gonna say what?
Sydney and her father were victims in that one. I don't understand Billy's intent on punishing them as well for what Maureen Prescott did.
Yeah.
Because why?
And my last point is that Gail was. I agree with Gail that someone is or always will or was going to write a book about the things that happened, because that's just going to happen. Now, do I think it was okay that she was the only one to profit off of the trauma? No. I think she should have sent a check or something every now and then to Sydney and whoever else was involved, and, Sam later on. I do think, but like, I don't think she was wrong for writing the books,
But
because,
listen, but
because,
listen. I
because,
was I was rewatching 5 and 6
mm-hmm,
this past weekend,
mm-hmm.
and a point was made to me too that I thought made a lot of sense. That if Gail never wrote the books, Stab would have never became a
Yeah.
franchise, which means all the fanatics, because there's been several
No.
of them,
Okay. So here's what I gotta say.
they only killed because of the franchise,
Yeah.
would have never happened. So would
But
all of
it
this
would
have
have
happened?
happened.
Gail didn't write the book.
It would have happened, but it would have been with a lot more speculation, a lot more false information. It would have happened anyways.
But would
I
it
don't
have
think she
become
should
as
have
big of a
done. I
franchise?
don't think she should have done like the extra books where it's all fiction. I think she should have written those books, but not have it tied to the to Stab, to the Stab franchise. I don't think it should have like she should have continued with like the whole fakes, plots of it. She should have made a whole new franchise. She should have made a whole new story to make money off of. But it still would have happened. It's still because that's just what people
But
do.
let me pose a question to you though. So she wrote it. It became such a big deal too, in my opinion, because she was part of the whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
Would it have become as big of a deal with someone who was not part of the situation, who was not part of the original murdering?
Let me say this: Love and Death.
Honestly, I didn't think that was a
It's
very good
not.
franchise.
No, I'm just saying that somebody wrote a book about it. Like, nobody had to, but somebody did. This person had
But
no connection, actual connection to that murder, to
let
that
me counter
case.
that though. Let me counter that. Let me counter that. Did that get a big fandom though?
No, but I'm saying that it, what, like, kind of, because of the castings and stuff. There's two shows about it, but nobody's gonna go kill somebody and say that it was because of that. But I'm saying that it
Exactly.
still would have happened.
The
The
stab movies
stab movies
became a
still would have
franchise
happened.
though. But they became a franchise.
Yeah,
And who's to say that the next person or the other person who would have wrote the book would have sold the rights to make a movie?
because
Who's to
they're money
say?
hungry. They
Well,
would
not
have sold the
everyone's
rights.
Gale Weathers. Not everyone's Gale Weathers. Maybe they had a moral compass.
No, if somebody's writing a book about a real event that happened, and they have no actual connection to it, they're gonna be a lot worse about it. Um,
And
she
what if
at
it
least
wasn't
had the
as well
facts.
written?
She at least had
What
the
if it
facts.
wasn't
She
as
was
well
actually
written?
there. And another thing is, it's also her story as well. Um, I don't think she should have included the Sydney stuff. I think if she had centered it more around her, uh, that would have been more. That would have been better because
Well,
she
that's the
also
problem
witnessed
with
this
Gail too,
trauma.
is
It was
she
also
never.
her trauma, and that's how she dealt with her trauma because she, was fame hungry. That was the career that she was fighting for. She's
I don't
she
know if
wanted.
it was her dealing with her trauma. I think she was always just in it for the fame. But she also never portrays herself in a negative light. She portrays Sydney in a negative light. She portrays Sam in a negative light. In her eyes, she's always the heroine, which is also biased. So it's not entirely an unbiased retelling of the story.
Yeah, I guess that's true, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Sydney's seen in a negative light because I don't recall them.
She even describes Dewey as in a negative
I know
way.
she describes Dewey in a. She says something about his boyish whatever, his boyish
And
charm, but
he's
and
incompetent.
his incompetent. Because I mean,
I know, but she was trying to date him, so maybe not the best thing to say about the person you're trying to date.
okay, but my argument to that is everybody is the people who love the enemies to lovers. Because I mean, I don't
I'm
love
not
enemies to
gonna agree
lovers
with
because of that, but people love
that. Okay,
enemies
but they
to
were
lovers,
already lovers at that point.
and
They had
then
made out
they broke up.
because she said that.
Before she no they broke up before that came out, and then he was angry at her because she said that, and I'm like, yeah, I would say crazy stuff about an ex too.
I'm pretty sure that they broke up because of that. Like, I'm pretty certain about that. Pretty
mm,
certain. Let me look it up.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Anyway,
anyway.
this is gonna be the most controversial fighting one. I didn't even get to say my favorite line. I was gonna say it gave Wattpad, let's fight.
Don't the original.
uh, wow. Evil.
Oopsie daisies.
And we haven't even
Did you have
gotten
any other topics you
to the
wanted to
no,
address?
we haven't gotten to the fix yet.
Okay.
The one I found is very short, very very short.
Does anyone want me to read Sam Reader fan fiction? I did I did research.
Uh, I think me and your audience member are both saying no.
If you want to hear me read Sam Carpenter Reader fan fiction, drop a comment
For
down
the
below.
Patreon.
Yes, if you want me to read Sam Carpenter fan fiction for the Patreon,
With me
drop a comment down
reacting.
below.
Drop a comment down below. Here's this one I found. All right, it was posted by Entry 41 on Tumblr on December 20th, 2023. It doesn't have a title, but I think it's based off of a song that's called, because it has it linked here, "Do You Want to Die Together" by
Nope.
stars. And it's and I'm just gonna start. Stu, Billy's strained voice, called out as his partner in crime, Stu Mocker, crawled.
That did not sound like a strange voice.
Why do I have to do the voices? I haven't read it. So like I can't
Do the
prep.
voices.
Oh my god.
Do the voices.
I have no prep.
Do the voices. Do
Stu.
the voice.
Billy's strained voice. That was horrible. Strained voice called out,
Do.
Stu. Stu.
You sound like a
Like a
grandpa.
ghost.
No,
Stu
you're
Mocker
giving
crawled.
grandpa.
Billy's strained voice called out as his partner in crime, Stu Mocker, crawled closer to him. Their breaths were both shaky, bodies weak as Stu grabbed onto Billy. Okay, they don't have a descriptor for this. Stu grabbed Billy's face, holding his cheeks gently in his blood-covered, calloused hands. Billy, I love you, he said quietly. He said quietly, a stray tear falling from his cheek. He stared into Billy's eyes, nearly getting lost in them. The two laid there in an embrace, quiet I love yous, leaving each other one another's mouth. Stu
Was Sydney
planning.
just watching them do this in the background?
She's just y'all are so dramatic. Oh, that's another one of my favorite lines where he's like, I thought you said she was dead. She looked dead, man. Still does. Anyway, the two lay there in an embrace, quiet I love yous, leaving one another's mouth, Stu planting a gentle kiss on Billy's lips, his body becoming
Honestly, I don't
increasingly
think there's
weaker.
anything gentle about these two.
No, there's nothing gentle about these two. They were dying. There was no other explanation. This was the end. They would know. They would die knowing they couldn't have ever loved one another. Huh? Anyways, Billy gasps Stu's hands in his, placing Stu's hand over his own heart, letting him feel the beating slowly stop. I love you too, Stu. Billy replied, with his last breath falling limp. The end.
I mean, yeah, there's no happy ending for these two. Like they die. Like even if you're writing fan fiction for them, if you're gonna keep them alive, you kind of have to have them succeed and kill Sydney. So I guess like
yeah, you're kind of
they never have a happy ending.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess you could write a fic where they get away with it and they run off and have their gay love story, but I mean,
But
who
like
wants
they'll
that?
always be running from the law too.
Yeah. Which
Interesting.
I guess that's cute. I don't know.
My only
That is a
thing with
trope,
this
though.
last one you just read is that like this that Sydney just like standing there watching them give their last goodbye as they're declaring their love for each other and kissing.
It would
Like
be.
she's in such shock
It would
that
be.
like she can't even move.
But the crazy thing is, the people that were alive at the end of it is Sydney, Gail,
Randy
Randy, and then I mean
and
Dewey
Dewey.
was on the porch. They still didn't know if he was
Yeah, he was
alive or not. So it would just be Gail. They're just like holding the gun. They're like, do we let them have the moment or?
Like they're just looking back and forth at each other. Like, did you know about this? No, did you?
And then later on, finding out that Billy also had a love child with somebody, she's just like, girl, I can't deal with
Stu
this.
comes back from the dead just to complain about that. Build you on me, and now it's in
I thought we were in love. We knew that you had to have to sleep with Sydney because that was just the rules. But you didn't need to go sleep with this chick over here and have a whole child. The disrespect.
Confirmed Billy was a man whore. That's canon.
It's canon. Do you have
Canon.
anything for us? Do you have a short one?
No.
No. You have.
All my research was in the rabbit hole. and it was only Sam Breeder.
All right. But
I have
yeah.
a problem, but I added another Infinity Stone to my Phantom Gauntlet.
Uh,
Eventually, I will run out of room.
eventually, they're just the gauntlet will explode with how much power is in it.
Eventually, I'll just have all the Phantoms. All the Phantoms will be
Uh,
collected on my
we
um,
need to get you like a banner, like they do for high school teams, where it shows
Oh,
the
just
fandom in the year, and then just have that as your decoration.
dating back to my childhood.
Uh, get it for the future studio. That's the decoration for the future studio.
All the fandoms I've been part of.
Mine have long ear like gaps on them because I
I
I
have gaps, but like eventually I stumble into something else.
yeah I commit. I commit strong.
I'm a
But
loyal fandomer.
yeah,
Like for example, I was trying to do research for this pod and I stumbled too far down the rabbit hole and I did not sleep for 24 hours.
I take no responsibility. I was not the one who sent you Rex. I didn't even ask you to do research.
I was being a good co-host.
I know. You were doing the good thing. You sacrificed your sanity for this podcast. But so that I don't get ghost faced, Marcella, it wasn't my fault.
It was Noel's fault.
It was not my fault. Do you want
Only
to close it
Noel
out?
claims responsibility. Yeah. Um, so that is all we have for you today for our Scream episode. Leave a comment down below what your favorite part was of the episode. Let us know what you think. If you have any thoughts or opinions that disagree or agree with ours, let us know down below. Um, because we love to hear the thoughts. Anyway, that's all. Until next time.
One last thing I want to say is if you dress up as Ghostface or any of the characters from Scream movies, let us know. Maybe even,
Yeah.
yeah, I want to know about that because I love that. But yeah, that's all we have.
Until next time.
Until next time, bye.